And welcome back to the Future Agent Podcast, your weekly dose of what the future agent needs in order to be successful. Not today, not tomorrow, but in the years to come. My name is Maddox, team lead of the #1 team here at Real Broker. GCI, units, purchase price? What was the third one?
Everything.
Earthing. Clearly undisputed #1 team. And that's what we're here to talk about today.
Pound for pound, teams. #1, 100%.
Is teams.
You've been on fire, by the way, on social media. Whenever anybody says anything, you're just going, join a team, join a team.
Hey.
I love it.
I got time for it right now. I am so sick, and this is a great way to actually kick this off. I am so sick of the team slandering that is taking place in our market today.
Wild.
It is disgusting to me. It is alarming to me. And I think it is doing a massive disservice to agents. And we're going to talk about why today, but go ahead and introduce yourself to the people that don't know you.
Yeah, if you're new here, my name's Tony Acosta. I've been in the industry since 2012. I'm a principal broker. I've been an agency owner. And now we're here at the #1 pound for pound team at Real Broker. But this topic specifically, I'm excited for it because I know it's one of the ones that you're most passionate about. So this is going to be some fire, you guys. Strap in.
Well, and where the passion comes from is I have only sold on a team. I have never gone the solo route, so I'll be the first to admit that. Let's go like Eminem at the end of 8 Mile. Like, yes, I've never sold solo. I've never, quote unquote, ran my own business. I have always paid for higher splits, but I've always taken home more at the end of the year than what I would say is 99.9% of the agents in the United States. So let's go toes on this. But I'm curious, Mr. Experienced Broker, ran a discount shop, done all these things. Yeah. Where does this slander for teams come from within our industry?
It comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of how this business works. I've said it all the time. I say it repeatedly. I sometimes get some flack for it, but real estate agents are terrible entrepreneurs. We're not business people. And that's #1, because we're not taught to be. But #2, because we simply don't understand that any successful business out there has costs, it has employees, it has people. You can't name a Fortune 500 company that is run by one single individual. And so I was also born on a team. I started doing showings. I didn't know anything of anything. Then I went the solo route.
Why? Why did you go the solo route? I'm curious, like what?
Yeah.
Because whenever the opportunity was presented to me, I looked at it. I'm like, I would have to sell so many houses as a solo agent in order to net. And I think that's where so many agents go wrong. And I think this is an important highlight. Whenever agents are comparing, hey, should I be on a team or should I be solo? What they're comparing is their net on a team versus their gross as a solo agent. And so when they evaluate those two numbers, yeah, obviously one of them is going to look bigger, but they're not factoring in the costs. Why do you think that that's the sexy, alluring thing in our industry is to go solo?
Well, that's exactly why, because I totally drank the Kool-Aid. You totally drink the Kool-Aid of, hey, now I know how to do this job. I've been trained. I know how to generate leads a little bit. I don't actually need the team anymore. I can do this by myself. And what I very quickly realized is that, sure, I could generate on social media a little bit, but then there was all the other stuff, all the back end stuff, all of find a transaction coordinator, coordinate the listing sign, coordinate the photography, try to get some graphic designs made, try to do open houses yourself when you have 3, 4, 5 listings. And it became exhausting. And for me, when I was in a position where at the time I was already a principal broker, and here, agents, be careful with this. I wanted to be the man. It was
there's an ego thing attached to this. There's an ego.
I will be the first to admit it. I wanted to be the man. I wanted to have my door on the wall. I wanted to say I was a CEO. I wanted to say that I owned an industry, an agency. But that got old very, very quickly.
Yeah, when you don't make as much money,
you just don't. And not only the money part, but the time and the effort. And so the analogy that I've learned after this is, what I liken this to is every single real estate agent wants to go out and start Facebook. Instead of just saying, I'm going to take one of these giants, whether it's Google, YouTube, take whatever you want. You've got 2 options. You can go try to build your own YouTube, or you can go work for YouTube. And I guarantee you the number 22 guy or gal at YouTube makes a ton of money. But we've fallen into this thing where we feel like in order to be successful, we have to be independent. And if we're not independent, then we are second-class citizens to those that go solo, and I think that's a massive mistake.
Yeah, I got into this argument on Facebook, and I had time over the weekend for everybody that wanted to come at
You
me.
did.
There was somebody though in a local group that posted and said, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to a new agent that is getting into the industry? And there was a lot of people saying, join a team. This dude responds, don't join a team. Join a brokerage that offers plenty of training, synergy, sharing of ideas, etc. And call every single person you know and find out who will be your top 100 to 150 SOI and get really good at asking for referrals. Now, because this was a local group, Tony, what does that mean we have the ability to do? We have the ability to look up this dude's production.
You would.
Every single agent on my team that has been with us for 6 months or longer has outsold this dude close to 2-1. This dude has sold 2, while our average on our team across 130 agents in production is 8.5 transactions. Let's do some quick math there. Even if you are making half due to splits on commission on every single transaction, my new agents are still doubling up this dude that are advising him to say, don't join a team.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. I mean, the problem is that these people, whoever it is, feel in a position to give advice. It's like, my dude, go prospect, bro.
Yes.
Like, what are you
go
doing
call your 100 to 150 people because clearly it's not working.
What are you doing on a forum, my guy?
Oh, no, we're getting comments. Thank you. Let's hear the comments
Here
before
we
we
go.
get into this.
Zach said, originally said volume, and then you just said dinosaurs arguing against teams.
Yes,
it's
we're
'cause-
arguing with dinosaurs that don't understand. And if you look at all of the big coaches in our industry, and you know I disagree with most coaches, I agree with them on this
You're
point.
going to become one eventually, but yes.
Okay, well, that's a different conversation. Having said that, though, their opinion and my opinion is the same, that the future for real estate agents within our industry is being on a team. And I think it's super important to make the distinction. When we are talking about a team, we're not talking about an agent that was trying to go from 40 to 60 deals a year, realized, hey, I need a showing assistant and a TC, and I'm going to jump on as a showing assistant. That's not what we're referring to when we're talking about joining a team. What we are talking about joining is a well-oiled machine, something that has a proven track record, that has lead flow, that has all of these things in place that can clearly, and I do this with every agent that I interview, which last week was 9 different interviews. I can show you, this is where you'll be at the end of year 1. This is where you'll be at the end of year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. And I don't care how far you want to take this thing. It makes sense for you wherever you are at in your business. It doesn't matter if you're a 13-year seasoned vet with a broker's designation attached to you. This makes sense. So, Tingy, let's jump into this. Point number 1, and I think that this is where the Perry Group has in spades, okay? Number 1 is immediate access to proven systems and tools. Now, why this matters, a team offers established processes for lead generation, client follow-up, transaction management, which can take years to build on your own. Talk to us about this because you just highlighted this a little bit. What did you see at the Perry Group, and what are some things that you think agents should be looking for if they are looking to join a team as far as ways to implement systems, because I know you're a systems guy.
Yeah, so I realized through experience, and granted, when I joined the Perry Group, I was in year 11, almost going on year 12, and I had already gone through the agency thing. I'd already tried to build my own thing or whatever it is, and you very quickly realize that you need these resources. And so I said it in our trailer video that we played at the boxing event. You've got 2 options. You can either try to fight it and go try to build your own little YouTube over here, or you just join it. And so when I realized that I could get the machine, when I could get a business in a box, which is the term that I often use for whatever it was, 30%, 20%, 10%, whatever the split was, but that the machine worked, that the Perry Group literally went through every single line item that an agent needs in order to transact. Everything. You guys had thought of everything. There wasn't a single thing that I would add to that list and said, okay, I can have access to all of this and still keep 70% of my money, 80% of my money.
It's cheaper than doing it yourself.
For me, that was a steal. But again, I had the context of doing it, trying to do it on my own. So for agents out there, take it from me. If you can get a business in a box that is functional, which I think is the other portion of this, I think that one of the reasons why agents push up against it is because they've been on bad teams. But if you can have a business in a box, a machine where you can plug in and it actually works, and you can still keep 60, 70, 80% of your money, it's a steal all day long.
When you think about what you can do with that time, and that's why I was on a team. I sold on a team for 7 years. The best splits that I ever got were 66-34. That was the best split that I ever got.
Which
Was
are
I got to
bad
keep
splits.
66% of my income. Perry Group SOI deals start at 70%. Yes. So we were talking about, I had worse splits than anybody that's sitting out here, and I was still able to clear high 6 figures, low 7 figures for multiple years while I was selling. Why didn't I leave that team and go solo? Because of all of those resources that allowed me to plug in and be exceptional at what I'm really good at. Most agents get into this business because they are good people communicators. They are good in front of people. And the second that you step out of the transaction and you have to spend time on the systems and the building of the systems, you are going to lose money. You are going to have an opportunity cost there that you're not factoring in when you're comparing your net on a team versus your gross as a solo agent. So why did I join the Perry Group? People ask me this all the time. I think a lot of people anticipate that it was because I was going to be team lead. I had no idea I was going to be doing this when I first started at the Perry Group. I was very familiar with how every business, every real estate company in the state of Utah was running their business. I knew their splits. I knew what their offerings were. And when I looked at it, I said, okay, what allowed me to be really, really successful at Edge? Can I find that again? Because my goal is high levels of production. Now, I think it's important to put an asterisk in front of all of this. If your goal is to do our average, and I pulled it today, do you know what our average is in Utah right now for every agent?
I would say 4.
2 transactions. 2.18 transactions in the state of Utah. So this dude that was popping off, hey, he's perfectly in the middle. Keep doing your thing. These people would rather do 2 transactions a year. If that's your goal, stay solo. Go to a discount brokerage that will charge you $500 per file and go and run your business and treat this like your part-time job, because if you're doing 2 deals a year, that's what this is. If your goal is to make money at this though, and your goal is to be exceptional at this, find a team that has those resources that you can tap into, that you can plug into as a business in a box, and watch your business excel.
And at the end of the day, it's just learn how to run your business like a business and stop seeing it. For me, a big paradigm shift that I had was, instead of looking at it from the lens of what is this agency taking from me, flipping that and saying, okay, what am I getting? And we often see this thing in interviews when we ask agents, all right, what's your split at your current agency? The question is, what are you buying? Like really, what are you buying? And a lot of agents either can't answer that question or they're not satisfied with what they're getting. And so instead of just thinking about, oh, they're taking all my money, they're taking 30%, they're taking 40%, well, what are you buying? And in this case, specifically, with this team specifically, for me, it's just a steal of a deal. Even if it's at a Zillow split of a 50-50 or 60-40 or whatever it is, wait, let me get this straight. The team is gonna pay hundreds of dollars to get me leads.
Tens of thousands of dollars
to get my phone to ring. And we get to split this equally? Really? So we're in a position where the team takes all the risk. I mean, if I take 10 leads, 15 leads, and I get 0, how much money did the team just spend? So for me, it was, with the Perry Group specifically, it's a team that puts their money where their mouth is. Instead of investing in events or speakers or all these things that all these other teams spend money on, this team spends money specifically on getting your phone to ring, and I'd never seen it done that way at such a high level.
Which leads us perfectly into point number 2. Tingy pulled this up for us really quick, because I think that this is what so many teams, and we've had a bunch of agents that come in and say, hey, my current team, my current brokerage is offering leads. What do you guys do? And I get a big smile on my face because nobody does it like this. Consistent lead flow and opportunities. Now, why does this matter? One of the biggest challenges for new agents and existing agents, if you're doing a 2 deal count average per year, is generating a steady flow of leads. Teams typically have lead generation systems in place, providing a consistent pipeline of potential clients. Why would that be such a benefit? Let's go first as a new agent, because that's where I was kind of yelling at everybody in the Facebook group this week. Why is that so important to new agents? I have a couple of reasons, but I'd love to hear your take on it.
I'd say 2 things. Number 1, the level of difficulty is incredibly high. It's hard to get leads. It really, really is. When you're out there by yourself, it's hard to get leads, especially when you're new. You just don't know what you don't know. That's number 1. And number 2, I think I was very, very, very well served starting out for the first 4 or 5 years of my career, just being a showing agent, because I got a ton of at-bats. I got so many at-bats of clients that I didn't find, from marketing that I didn't pay for people
risk
that
you didn't take.
I didn't know, risk that I didn't take, and I was given the opportunity to earn, to learn. Like, I was getting paid to train. And so when I look at our Zillow program, for example, it's the greatest training platform on earth. You're going to get paid You're not going to have to take on any of the risk. You're not going to have to write a check at all. And your phone is going to consistently ring to give you the at-bats to actually make you a good agent. This is, I mean, I liken it to, there's only so much you can read about push-ups. You have to get out there and actually do it. So when there's a team that can give you consistent lead flow, which again is the key, because we had an interview, 2 weeks ago with someone that said that their phone hadn't rung in 2 months?
Yeah.
So consistent lead flow, that's what's going to get you the reps to actually get good at this job.
Yeah, let's take Brian Garlick, for example, who we've highlighted a couple of different times on our channel. This dude was a cannabis farmer last year, and this year will finish in the top 30 to top 40 for buyer's agents in Utah County. He'll do somewhere between 20 to 25 transactions in year one. Going off of our already established industry average in Utah of 2 transactions, that means that this dude has, in essence, been in the business for 10 plus years.
10x.
This dude has 10x the experience of every other new agent that he was taking real estate school with last year at this time.
And you know why? I mean, and specifically with Brian, because Brian has come in and he's mastered Zillow. So he has had blinders on, which I think is another underrated benefit to being on a team that gives consistent leads. When you're new, if we can remove the pressure of lead generation, the cost, the time, if I can remove that and just allow you to be a good agent and be in front of people, Brian happens. Because he doesn't have to, he could if he chose to, but I know in the last 12 months he hasn't had the headspace to really go out and get leads and really go out and be forced to do these kinds of activities that are difficult. Will he eventually get there? Absolutely. But when you can remove the pressure of lead gen, people become very, very, very good agents, and I believe Brian's going to be in this industry for decades to come.
Well, now year 2 for Brian gets very, very interesting. Now let's look at what Brian does. Brian has the skill set to transact at a really high level, 10x of what our industry average in Utah is. And number 2, he already has a business that is built that can handle 20 to 25 transactions. Can you make a living on 20 to 25 transactions a year, Tony?
Absolutely.
Hell yes, you can.
Great living.
So now it gets really, really fun, because in year 2, our focus is not, hey, go and tame the Zillow monster. Our focus in year 2 is, okay, now let's start swapping some of these transactions out for your SOI deals, which at least here at the Perry Group, the way that our tiers and our splits are set up, I will pay you almost double on the leads that you generate versus the ones that I have to generate for you. So now he has a business that if we can go and swap out 10 of those deals this year, in theory, we don't even have to swap them out. Brian will still close the same 20 or something that he does on Zillow. If I can add 10 more SOI, Brian just went and grew a business from 0 to 30 transactions in 2 years and is making more money than every single one of these solo agents that say, no, don't join a team, join a brokerage that is offering all of these things.
And the underrated point there that people don't realize, and I know this coming from Brokerland, you want him to get 10 SOI.
Hell yeah. I want him making more on a team. Why did I not leave the team that I was on for 7 years? Because I was making more money on a team than I would have if I had gone solo.
But you want him to get, but here's the thing, you want him to get 10 more SOI deals. You don't immediately go, I want to get you 10 more Zillow deals.
No.
Why?
Because I think 20 is about max. I genuinely think we can make some small tweaks to maybe up his conversion a little bit, help him with some of his systems, some of his CRM stuff. But to me, the place that Brian's business has the most room to grow is in the SOI category. And now what happens when I start helping him generate those SOI deals? This dude has been in the industry, in theory, for 10 years. Do you think he's going to be sharp when those deals come through?
100%.
Absolutely.
But what most of these brokers don't understand, or where they make the mistake, is they don't view it that way. Because they say, now they have a choice to make, right? I got a really good Zillow agent that I'm getting 50% splits on. Awesome. It is not in their best interest to then turn Brian into an SOI monster.
No, but it's not in their best interest for Brian to leave after 1 or 2 years because
Correct.
he feels like he's tapped out.
And so the reason why I say that is because these brokers, their actions are going to be towards, let's not incentivize Brian to do so much SOI so that he can remain as the Zillow monster in the office and bring in a ton of revenue. Because if he leaves, absolutely, it's really hard to replace. But at the same time, if he all of a sudden starts making more money on these SOI deals and he starts putting more emphasis and time and effort into the SOI, in the eyes of many, the team suffers. And for even though that's what's best for the agent, a lot of team leads are not willing to make that trade. The fact that you are willing to make that trade is one of the reasons why I'm sitting in this chair and why I often call you a mutant, because it doesn't make sense for the team, but it's absolutely what is best for the agent.
Yeah, and I think to me, if I can prioritize what's best for the team, the agents will stay longer, and that's where the team can be more profitable if I'm not having to try to replace a Brian Garlick every single 9 months because he starts producing, gets a big hit on him and says, hey, I'm going to go make more. And I think that this is a super valuable point for any agent that's thinking about joining a team. If the splits are set up the same way on SOI versus team-generated splits, I would run for the hills. Why? Because the amount of effort that it takes to get a team-generated lead versus an SOI lead in the door is flipped, right? Meaning that you take 0 time to get a lead in the door, and the amount of time that you spend is on the transaction on a team-generated lead. So if you are getting paid the same, you are never going to go and have the time or the bandwidth to go out and generate your own leads. So make sure that you're joining a team that is incentivizing you at some point to go and generate your own business.
And also, don't be afraid, and I don't know if we'll get into this in some of the other points, but I often use the athlete, what's the correct word, analogy of it's okay to switch jerseys.
Yeah.
It's okay. How many jerseys has Cristiano Ronaldo wore, or LeBron James wore? I mean, if you are at a team where you're hearing this and you're like, I don't get that, or I've never heard it explained like that, that's okay. But far too often, we limit our own potential because we're not willing to make that decision. And I live that myself of, do I stay with this agency? It's a discount agency. I have some opportunity. Maybe I'm the guy here. Nobody tells me what to do. Walking away from that to then join something new can be a little bit scary. I get that. I'm empathetic to that. But again, you have to, at the end of the day, do what's best for you. And if what you're hearing resonates, then that's where it's like, all right, let's have a deeper conversation. Because if you're staying somewhere where during this conversation, you're having those thoughts, the longer you put off that decision, the more money you're leaving on the table.
Opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost.
Number 3, Tingy. Mentorship and hands-on training. I'm really excited to get your take on this because you are one of our new agent mentors in here. Working solo can be isolating and mistakes can be costly. Joining a team gives you direct access to experienced agents who can offer advice, mentorship, and real-time feedback. Now, this is where I think it is super valuable. We have new agent coaches that assist brand new agents through their first 5 transactions. They're helping review offers. They're helping with training. They're saying, this is how you do a CMA. This is how you present a CMA. This is how you do a listing presentation. And I think, once again, this is if you're looking at joining a different team, you're not liking where you're at currently, I would be checking this. If the person that they put in charge of mentoring you as a new agent is not an experienced agent recently, you're going to miss the mark on this. Our agents, our new agent coaches that we have in here are 2 of our top 5 producers and have been in the industry for a long time and are damn good at what they do. What is your take on this?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely critical. Often you're going to see mentors that retired 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And so if you're not in it, then there's a lot of nuance that you're just not going to understand. You're just going to maybe coach on some of the basics, but when it comes to this market is completely different than it was 36 months ago, 48 months ago. And so I think it's a 2-pronged approach. Number 1, having a team that understands the importance of mentorship, but also that builds incentives for the higher producing agents to want to even do that. There's so many teams where the top producers, they don't want to talk to you, bro.
No.
They don't.
Good luck.
Yeah, the last thing they want to do is help you fill out a Repsy. That is.
They got
not
their own
what
Repsies
they're
to
about.
fill out.
Yeah, so they're not incentivized to do it. They're not taught how to do it. They don't want to do it. They see no value in it. And so often you see these newer agents that join a team because of A, B, or C, that they're like, okay, they produce a ton, so I want to be close to them. But there actually is no proximity. And that can be one of the most discouraging things ever, because we all have these people that we look up in the industry, and if you join simply because of one individual, and then on top of that, the individual doesn't even give you doesn't give you the time of day, nothing, that can be incredibly discouraging. So it's not only joining a team that has good agents, but are those agents involved and incentivized to actually help you? And I think the Perry Group does that very, very well.
But I would even add to that, the Perry Group is different too than I think any other team or brokerage in the state. The people that we have that are in leadership saying these are the adjustments that we need to make from a company perspective are all agents that are in production. You have Chris Girock, who's on pace to sell somewhere between $15 to $20 million this year. A large part of that coming from Zillow, who's in charge of saying, this is your Zillow script. This is how you get better at Zillow. You have Michael Perry, who is the one who built everything here, who sat down with his brother, who's a remarkable computer software engineer. I don't know what Johnny's term would be, but they sat down and said, this is the type of software that we need for our company. You had a top producer sitting down with the person that built it saying, this is what I need. So if you don't have those things in place, you're going to miss the mark if your broker hasn't done a deal for in the last 25 years.
And that's the thing. It's built by agents for agents. And we feel that here each and every day. Like I said, one of the attractive things was you guys mapped out every single thing that an agent could need, and you guys provide that in a way that doesn't have friction, in a way that is affordable once you have the proper context. And so it really does become a no-brainer. If I were to go out and be solo once again, and I know that there are agents that have, in my opinion, made this mistake, you're going to run up against the same brick wall. And we haven't even gotten to the culture point and the people in the room point. This is just strictly a business conversation of it is in your best interest to buy these resources that can help you transact at a higher level. If we take just Brian Garlick at 10x, what a new agent, let alone a new agent, what any agent should be doing.
He passed agents that have been in this for 5 years doing 2 transactions.
100%.
So now when they go toe to toe with him in a listing appointment, they're going to lose. If that agent is interviewing multiple buyers agents, guess what? They're going to lose. Why? Because this dude's going to sound like he's been doing it for 10 years when in reality, he was farming cannabis last year at this time. Next point, Tingy. Shared marketing and operational support. Now, why this matters. Marketing, transaction coordinators, and client management can drain your time and energy. Teams typically have dedicated staff to handle these tasks, freeing you to focus on selling and building client relationships. Now, this is where I think so many agents, we've been talking a lot about the newer agents. Let's talk about some experienced agents that are doing 4 to 10 a year that are saying, hey, I want to take my business to 15 to 20. Let's be honest and real about what that is going to take. You are going to have to incur some costs on you in order to do that. You're going to have to pay for a video guy. You're going to have to pay for listing photos. You're going to have to pay for signage. You're going to have to pay for marketing material. You're going to have to not only pay for it, but you're going to have to invest a ton of time and energy into those resources. Then what gets really frustrating is if you do 15 this year and your business is set up to do 15 transactions a year, and the next year you want to go and sell 30 houses a year, guess what? You now have to scrap everything and then rebuild it from the ground up instead of plugging into a machine like ours that is set up to sell 1,200 transactions this year, 1,800 transactions a year after, and who knows what 2027 is going to look like. So to new or to experienced agents that are sitting there and saying, hey, I now have a cost associated with business, right? Let's be honest. If you're doing 2 transactions a year, your cost to run your business is whatever your dues were for that year. That's the extent of it. But to experienced agents, and I think you have been, and we use the term the Perry Group effect in here all the time. You have become a victim of the Perry Group effect. The most listings you ever had when you were solo was 4. There's multiple times this year where you had 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 listings at once.
9 today.
What have you experienced this year?
It's what Alex Hormozy calls orders of magnitude, where I remember back when I was a broker, we would go to Tucanos if we sold 12 homes in a month. Like, it was a party. We were buying AirPods and we were buying iPads for people because we did 12 in a month. You get here and you're like, holy shit. These dudes are going to say they're going to do 1,000 and then they hit the mark.
Beginning of November.
45 days before the end of the year.
Yeah.
And you're like, how? Like, I had never seen the game played at such a high level. I'd never seen it played at such a high level. And again, because I'm a sports junkie, Luka Doncic, one of the best basketball players in the world, had a similar experience. He played for Real Madrid. He played in Europe. He gets to the NBA, and he's like, holy shit. There's
levels to this.
This is different. And so I had never seen it that way. And again, that's why I can be empathetic to other agents that also had never seen it that way. Because again, the average being 2, you look at that and you're like, okay, 4, 6, 8, that's a great year. You need what, 9 or 11 to be in the top 250 here in our local board? All of a sudden you hear numbers like Brian at 20, people at 18, 19, 25. It blows your mind. And then when you have an opportunity to get in the room, you have that aha moment where it's like, that's how they do it. Because on the forefront, it doesn't make sense. 1,000 homes, like, how? So that's been the biggest revelation for me over the last 12 months. It's now I see how the game is played at the highest level, and I realized how lost I was.
I think this is a great use case. You've sold 30-something houses or so this year. Every single time that you've put a house under contract, you got a just sold, graphic sent to you? How much time have you spent putting together just sold graphics this
0.
year? How much time have you spent putting together open house
0.
stuff this year? How many times or how many pieces of content do you think were created for you for free this year?
100?
Multiple hundreds?
Yeah, at least.
Yes. So when we talk about this machine that can help you with your marketing abilities, and I think once again, going back to our last point, that is where it's super important to align yourself with a team that is obviously hell-bent on helping you with their leads, but then also helping you generate your own leads. Like we have multiple agents in the last 30 days. We ask people to raise their hands every single week that have sold houses from content that we have generated.
Yes.
It doesn't exist if you were trying to do it on your own. So once again, why did I not leave a team that I was on for 7 years? Because I felt like I could grow my business within their business. And when you put the two of those things together, magic happened, and I walked away with 7 figures at the end of multiple years, net. So you want to compare my net versus the gross, and that's once again, never making better than 70-30. How do you do it? It's by joining a team. And if your theory is that commissions are going to be compressed over the next couple of years, like a lot of agents are feeling right now, then what is the answer? The answer is a volume of transactions.
It's volume.
The volume of transactions that you can do. There was no way for me to go and do 204 transactions in a year without all of the resources that the team I was on was providing. There is no way for you to go from 4 listings to 13 listings, 16 listings, 17 listings at once and still be home at night to kiss your kids goodnight without the team. So if you're thinking, hey, maybe a team is right for me, then I would explore it. I would look for the things that we've talked about. Look for a steady lead flow. Look for somebody that can help you build and implement systems into your business to help you sell more real estate. Look for a team that is willing to help partner with your marketing, help you push your personal brand out, and watch what happens to your transaction count and understand what you're competing against. You're competing against jackasses that do 2 a year that think that they are crushing it, when in actuality, I have agents that have 10x them in their first year. Understand
and
what
are
you're
not on the Facebook forum, by
and
the way.
understand what you are competing against.
Yeah, agents. Be careful what you say on Facebook forums.
Hey, I can look your numbers up, my guy.
Seriously, think twice before you hit send. And if you're in a situation where, and it's not to knock on whoever this is, because again, that's about the average, get to work. Stop arguing with people on social media. Get to work.
I'm not going to stop arguing with people on social media.
But you're at work. So agents, again, just to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, you need to make a decision if you actually want to build a business. Do you want to build a business, or do you just want to have a job that might be a part-time job, eventually turns into a side hustle? But stop complaining, make decisions, and that decision might be swapping your jersey. Make decisions and actually put yourself in a position to succeed. Put yourself in a line of fire of tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in investment per month. You want to be in that room. You want to be in places where teams are going to write checks for your phone to ring, not for you to go do breath work and meditation. Like, nothing against that stuff, but at the end of the day, you're in this to transact. You're in this to close deals, get commission checks, and make money. That's the number one separator, is that the people here know how to do that at a level that I myself had never seen before in the last decade in this industry.
What happens when you get in a room like that? You start thinking, hey, maybe 2 in a year is not a lot. Maybe I need more than 100 people in my top SOI category. I might need 200 or 300 people. You're going to understand what it takes to be successful at this. You're going to be surrounded by hitters that are constantly doing it, that are succeeding at a high level, and you're going to pick something up. So does that cost you something? Yes.
It should.
Will you end up making more money, though, in the long term? My argument is yes, and that's why I will be a team stand until I am no longer in real estate, with the opinion and the mindset that joining a team is the best avenue, whether you're a brand new agent or whether you're an agent that I just recruited last week that has 40 transactions on average that wants to go to 60 or 70. Do I feel confident that we can help them? Yes. If you're a new agent that did 0 last year, do I feel confident that I can help you get to 10, 15, 20, 25 transactions in year 1? Absolutely, I do. So look for a team. If that team doesn't exist in your marketplace, DM me and I will help you start that team, because I think that your marketplace needs it. And we'll see y'all next week on the Future Agent Podcast.